Yep, you heard it right. The cancelled Cuphead Show. This has been a prompt that's been requested to me for months and months and months to me at this point, and to be honest, I've been a little bit hesitant about touching this subject because cancellations often don't have such a clear full stop that, hey, it's officially cancelled now. Really, what it is Season 4 of Cuphead is unconfirmed and unannounced. It's been unconfirmed for a long time now. There has been no renewal out of Season 4, and there's always room for hope, right? At the same time, the last real update was November of 2022. It's been over a year and we've heard nothing. So while I'm sure there's still room for Netflix to pull the rug from underneath me, looking at all the evidence, I think it's fair to put a note on this: the Cuphead Show is officially cancelled. And it's disappointing, right? The idea of a Cuphead Show is absolutely brilliant. Seeing this unique sort of slightly old-timey cartoon series, being able to expand into all of these 2D animated characters as well from the games, there's all sorts to bounce off of. You got some great elements of humor and some interesting prompts you can take on with. Like, it's like a spin-off Mickey Mouse done in a different way that's very, very fun. And Netflix made some choices when it came to the Cuphead Show. Some of it grand, and some of it not everybody's cup of tea. And at the end of it, what we really get is a bit of a bittersweet tale of just classic animation scummy behavior. That's what it is, really. This Cuphead Show lingered through the worst of Netflix's animation antics, and I think this is the perfect poster child for going through these tumultuous times. So let me tell you a little bit of the behind the scenes of the Cuphead Show, right? Starting in the early months of 2022, practically every episode of the Cuphead Show is written by the same collection of people. You got Dave Wasson, Deaky Deek, Clay Morrow, Cosmo Sergeson, and Adam Poloian. Each of these people contributing the antics and hijinks and buffoonery that takes place in this weird sitcom show where anything can happen. It's just fun, youthful, and childish, right? Officially created by Chad and Jared Moldenhauer and produced by a studio called Studio MDHR, as well as King Features Syndicate, all these things come together to translate the video game of Cuphead into a animated for TV format. And the format they chose is a little bit off-kilter to the actual main games. Whilst the gameplay of the games is all about this high difficulty, intensity story of beating up your fellow neighbors in order to make a deal with the devil, the actual TV franchise is a lot more youthful. It aims for a younger demographic. These episodes aren't hour-long pieces with real dark imagery of violence and grim, dark tales. Instead, it is so much more, I guess bouncy would be the word I would use. It's incredibly lighthearted, and more so than that, it is short. Every episode flying by like a little bite-sized chunk because it's aiming for the same kind of demographic as Disney kids. It is like a Disney-adjacent storyline told in the 21st century. And that's a shame, because I would regard the Cuphead story as one that could lead into some really interesting, not full-on R-rated graphic limbs coming off kind of animation, but at least something slightly more darker and grim for a cartoon, which would be great to see, especially considering the trials and tribulations you playing the characters of Cuphead and Mugman go through. But regardless, it was a choice that was made. Maybe it goes out to a wider, broader demographic. Netflix knows what they're doing when it comes to animation and how to sell a decent story. And so, Netflix bought the show, setting up a system where they went to order a total of 36 episodes of the Cuphead Show. There were initial reports of 48 episodes being sold, but I think that was just some misinformation in the early years. 36 episodes were bought, and this is the first note of scummy behavior. Why? Because they bought a bunch of episodes? How dare they give the creators a big bag of money 36 times over? The thing that makes this scummy is the fact that they bought them as one big batch, but they didn't release them as one big batch. If you look at the Cuphead Show filmography, you won't find one season of 36 episodes, you'll find 3 seasons. The first season coming out February 18th, 2022, with 12 episodes to its name. The second season coming out on August 19th, 2022, with 13 episodes. And then the third season coming out November 18th, 2022, with the size of 11 episodes. Combine those 3 together and you come right back to those total of 36 episodes. This is dodgy behavior. and it was known. In fact, this was called out during the days of the second season, as there was a hashtag going around for hashtag New Deal for Animation, requesting for better treatment of animators. Because you see, by buying multiple seasons worth of content in one go, you are underpaying your animators. As was explained in an article surrounding the New Deal for Animation movement, just a reminder that Netflix ordered 36 episodes of this show in one go, meaning they aren't paying these guys higher salaries for effectively 3 seasons of television. It was renewed for season 2 years ago. It's sad, and these guys need a better deal. Yes, that's the way it works. Essentially, if you're being paid for a sequel series, every subsequent season should garner you a higher salary. The price of an episode to buy for season 3 will cost more than season 1. That's just the nature of things as the stakes improve. Around that same time, we also have a quote from Nick Lauer, a Nickelodeon animator, who said, "Season 2 is just the second batch of episodes from season 1. Nothing was renewed. All the episodes were made as one season, and Netflix is dropping them in batches." It's good from a business front if you want to save yourself some money, but considering the money you're saving is being taken away from your employees who are putting in the actual work and labor to build the show, it can't be described as anything less than manipulative. Unless you want to use the word scummy, but I've said it a few times in this script already. Or as a final quote I've also got from the exact same period, a lot of people were talking about this at the time, we've then got Heidi Neuenhofer, also an animator, who tweeted, "This is how many animated shows made for streaming are ordered/released in order to get around all those pesky rules about having to give folks raises on subsequent seasons." And even beyond just the fact that they underpaid their animators to squeeze out more content out of a singular deal, if you notice the actual releases of these 3 seasons, they all took place over 2022. It wasn't even a matter of each season was spaced out 1 year apart or anything, they were all crammed out into a single year. I don't know if that necessarily changes the salaries and the residuals or something to a series show, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's something tactical there for the fact that they just blasted everything out as fast as they could whilst taking on the cheapest possible deal. But then, as the 3rd season came out, the nails started making itself present going into the coffin. That's a weird way to phrase that metaphor, but it's there. And there is some debatable evidence about whether season 3 was even planned to be a finale, as after all, What's on Netflix labeled season 3 of the Cuphead Show as the final season. However, the episodes and the seasons themselves weren't labeled as such. It was What's on Netflix making that assumption based on the fact that no renewal had been made yet for season 4. Not that there's technically ever been a renewal of the Cuphead Show. Going into the specifics of the finale of season 3 as well, it ends on a kind of a cliffhanger. But at the same time, you could argue that it does lead into a definitive ending, with Cuphead and Mugman ending the series, of the show at least, at a casino. Why would that be relevant? Well, of course, because where does the beginning of the game start? Ding ding ding, it's at the casino, where they would then go on to sell their souls to the devil and be plagued with the debt that they need to return to him. But it's not all crystal clear from there, as there are all sorts of other reservations about season 3 that could mark things in the opposite direction, as after all, there's all sorts of things missing in season 3 for it to be a definitive final season. Some loose ends were left loose, like there wasn't a sequel to the episode of Sweet Temptation. I'll be honest, I haven't seen Sweet Temptation, but I'm sure there's a reason it needs a sequel. Admittedly, I only saw the first half of season 1. I found it to be a little bit too childish, and I couldn't really get around the short time frame, and I didn't have a lot of time myself even if it was longer. It's probably the most common output, but we'll get more to my opinion on that and how things develop because of that kind of opinion in a little bit. But also, going back to season 3 and its lack of a finale, there's all sorts of background lore from the game that still haven't had their adaptation yet. You can't say you finished the Cuphead Show if you haven't even shown someone like Cagney Carnation, literally one of the most iconic characters of the Cuphead cast. Furthermore to that, there's all sorts of other enemies that haven't made their appearance. There's no existence of the Phantom Express, Jimmy the Great, Wally Warbles, Dr. Cal's robot, Beppy the Clown, Hildeberg, Rumor Honeybottoms, or Goopy Legrand. There's way more room for things to be expanded upon, and it just hasn't happened yet. Unrenewed in a way that seems a little bit unfulfilling. And it's not just the fans that are feeling underwhelmed. Adam Paloian, again one of the main writers of practically every episode, has actually got on to tweet and saying, "That's the last of the Cuphead Show episodes that we made. There were a heap of episodes that were fully storyboarded, some starring your favorite game bosses, that never got to see the light of day due to budget and time running out. I really hope they can be shared soon." But alas, that was November 2022. And it seems evidently clear that Netflix bought 36 episodes and never bought anything Cuphead again. There was never a renewal of the Cuphead Show. It was literally just a one and done, squeezed to look like a three-parter. Moving on a little bit more on the timeline, when approached by What's on Netflix, another one of the main writers, Deeky Deek, said about season 4 onwards, "There better be more. I have too many episode ideas. I'm hopeful there's a renewal or a continuation in some form, but we'll see." Since then, there's been hashtags. Clearly the crew are invested. Clearly there are fans that are invested with hashtag renew the Cuphead Show. But it's been a year since that pause. When it comes to Netflix, they didn't pay a rat's ass when it came to hashtag new deal for animation, so they certainly don't care a bobble about renew the Cuphead Show either. Though there have been some slight updates, in 2023 in fact, as the Cuphead Show was connected to 2 Annie Awards, being nominated for Outstanding Achievement for Storyboarding in an Animated Television/Broadcast Production, and also won Outstanding Achievement for Music in an Animated Television/Broadcast Production. Who named these trophies, man? Why are they so bloody long? And then even most recently, in December of 2023, there was a poke. They won an Emmy. They won the Children's Emmys Award for Outstanding Directing for an Animated Program. And the Cuphead Show still has an active Twitter. Well, I mean, they post once every 1 to 2 months, so by that logic, I'm looking forward to their Valentine's call-out. Now, when it comes to the actual critical response of the Cuphead Show, yes, you've heard from the crew, yes, there's clearly a vocal demographic of fans. The actual response to the Cuphead Show review this show as, in a lot of places, having about a 7 out of 10 score, with multiple sources explaining that there's kind of a lack in substance. It's kind of short, it's kind of basic and not a great show, just a fun adaptation. It's more aimed for kids rather than the actual Cuphead game material, and even in my case, I watched half of the first season and then I was kind of done, you know? I wanted Cuphead, I wanted characters, I wanted hijinks that make sense and expand my interpretation of the Cuphead world, and it was like a lot of just the devil again. It wasn't so much, "Oh, I recognize that guy." It was nice to see Porky the bloody merchant man, but it's been so long that I don't even remember his bloody name. Some other reviews that put it in a bit more eloquent words is from Bloody Disgusting, which says, "It's an ambitiously gorgeous yet empty distraction that's more family friendly than its source material." And then in one form on Rotten Tomatoes, there is, "While the Cuphead Show fluidly recreates its video game forebear's eye-popping animation, this good-looking vessel is still waiting for some substance to fill it." Now, these reviews and mine only apply to Season 1. It's all I went and watched in the whole thing, practically, other than the footage that's being shown in this video. So perhaps by Season 3, it got pretty good. But all I've really seen is the reservations on how little they managed to expand beyond before they were capped off at the end. What I imagine is with this casino ending, it probably wasn't what they hoped to be an ending, but obviously this was produced and animated while there still wasn't a Season 4 renewal, so it was a fail-safe ending. A backup plan that's a little bit vague, that's a little bit trying not to insinuate it's the ending, but can be interpreted as an ending because possibly the end was nigh. And unfortunately, that pessimism was right. Though at the same time, if it's ended, the king is dead, long live the king. I would love a more darker and grim Cuphead experience. You know, why not flatten it and start again? Perhaps the IP of Cuphead could go elsewhere. There's certainly potential for it. Look at all these characters they didn't use and all sorts of tones from the games that they didn't end up applying with. it's still kind of under the Netflix bandwagon, but if they do manage to sever ties, or Netflix has a change of heart but wants to do a different show entirely, I'd fully support it, and I'm sure all sorts of fans would be interested in it. The next time Cuphead gets back into the trending relevance of the internet zeitgeist, they can hop on it and make another TV show. I mean, it's gonna take a long time between now and Cuphead 2, considering how long it took them to make a bloody DLC out of the game. But maybe there's a positive spin. Perhaps the Cuphead show is indeed dead and buried. But perhaps the Cuphead franchise can bloom ever further to new, untreaded territory. Whatever the case, they've had to claw their way tooth and nail through Netflix at their absolute worst point in animation. Cancelling an animated show early is not a surprise. Buying it all in one go and then never renewing it is certainly a middle finger to creators, and squeezing it out in little drips over 3 seasons is nothing short of disingenuous. Season 4 has never been renewed, but then again, we never really got a Cuphead Show Season 2. And that is the tragic, yet kind of fittingly dark and grim story of the cancelled Cuphead Show. Can't wait for them to immediately prove me wrong in like 2 weeks' time from now. It happened with Peanuts. It happened with the Peanuts movie. For now, though, I'm gonna end it off there. My name's been Daz. Thank you for reaching the end. Let me know your thoughts. Do you care about the Cuphead show? Would you like a different Cuphead show? Really, give me all your thoughts on Cuphead as an adaptation. Do you think Netflix should let it go? Do you think there's potential for more? What hijinks would you put them through? Why not just write your own fan fiction at this point? You have the power. One day it'll be in the public domain. And I'll see you in a little bit.